Story 1 of 9. Australia's 2026 federal budget to reform capital gains tax, negative gearing and trusts. Australia's 2026 federal budget to reform capital gains tax, negative gearing and trusts. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Treasurer Jim Chalmers will deliver the 2026 federal budget on May 12, 2026, with reforms targeting capital gains tax, CGT, and negative gearing as key elements. The current 50% CGT discount for assets held over 12 months will be replaced with an inflation-adjusted discount, pre-1999 model, though grandfathering for existing assets is expected. Negative gearing will be fully grandfathered for existing investors, but new investors will likely be restricted to newly built properties only. The government aims to address intergenerational equity by rebalancing the housing market toward owner-occupiers and first home buyers. Changes to trusts are expected, with a focus on reducing tax avoidance, though details remain unclear. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC report that negative gearing will be fully grandfathered, but Article 5, News Commo, suggests it may be limited to newly built properties for new investors, creating ambiguity about the exact scope. Article 5 claims the CGT changes will double the tax for long-term investors, while other sources, ABC News Commo, suggest the impact will be more nuanced due to grandfathering and inflation adjustments. The Guardian states the budget will include a $200 or $300 earned income offset, but Chalmers explicitly warned against expecting big near-term cash splashes in multiple interviews. News Commo, SMH. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age.
Story 2 of 9. Deadly hantavirus outbreak on cruise ship MV Hondius in Atlantic Ocean. Deadly hantavirus outbreak on cruise ship MV Hondius in Atlantic Ocean. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The cruise ship MV Hondius, operated by Oceanwide Expeditions, departed from Ushuaia, Argentina on the 1st April 2026, heading to Cape Verde with stops in Antarctica and remote Atlantic islands. 3 people have died from the hantavirus outbreak. A Dutch couple, 70-year-old man and 69-year-old woman, and a German national, 80-year-old woman. A British national, 69-year-old, is in intensive care in South Africa after testing positive for hantavirus. The ship was denied docking permission in Cape Verde due to the outbreak and was redirected to the Canary Islands, Spain, where it arrived on 6 May 2026. The Andes strain of hantavirus, which can spread through close human contact, is suspected in the outbreak, but not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports that the German national who died was an 80-year-old woman, while ABC and News Commo do not specify the age or gender of the German fatality. The ABC states that the ship was denied docking in Cape Verde on Sunday, 5 May, while The Guardian and News Commo report this occurred earlier, around 4 to 5 May. The Guardian mentions a 3rd British national with suspected hantavirus on Tristan da Cunha, but this is not confirmed by other sources. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au and SBS News.
Story 3 of 9. VAR call denies West Ham equalizer in dramatic EPL match, affecting title and relegation races. VAR call denies West Ham equalizer in dramatic EPL match, affecting title and relegation races. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Arsenal defeated West Ham United 1-0 in a Premier League match on 2026-05-11 or 2026-05-10, depending on publication time. Leandro Trossard scored Arsenal's winning goal in the 83rd minute. West Ham substitute Callum Wilson's potential equaliser was disallowed after VAR review for a foul by Pablo on Arsenal goalkeeper David Raya. Referee Chris Kavanagh ruled the foul after a 4-minute VAR check in stoppage time, 5th minute of added time. Arsenal now lead the Premier League title race with a 5-point advantage over Manchester City. But not all outlets told the same story. The ABC article states the match was played on 2026-05-11, while The Guardian's publication timestamp is 2026-05-10, though both likely refer to the same event. Date of match versus publication date. ABC describes the VAR check as lasting 4 minutes, while The Guardian does not specify a duration, but emphasises the prolonged deliberation. ABC mentions Arsenal's next match is against Burnley, home, and Crystal Palace, away, while The Guardian does not detail Arsenal's upcoming fixtures beyond the match in question. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian.
Story 4 of 9. Albanese government's secret plans to reform housing tax concessions despite election promises. Albanese government's secret plans to reform housing tax concessions despite election promises. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anthony Albanese, Jim Chalmers, and Katie Gallagher led discussions in the Priority and Delivery Committee starting in November 2025 to plot housing reforms, including negative gearing and capital gains tax changes. Albanese set a November 2025 deadline to pass contentious environmental laws while planning housing reforms. Albanese ruled out changes to negative gearing and capital gains tax discount during the 2025 election campaign, saying on April 9, 2026, "Yes, how hard is it?" for the 50th time. Albanese won a record 94-seat majority in the 2025 election, described as surprisingly large in both articles. The government planned to announce housing reforms in a press club speech around Australia Day, January 26, 2026, but delayed it due to the Bondi attack by Islamic extremists in late 2025. But not all outlets told the same story. Both sources are identical, so no contradictions exist between Theage and SMH. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age.
Story 5 of 9. Lucas Herbert wins maiden LIV Golf title, secures US Open spot. Lucas Herbert wins maiden LIV Golf title, secures US Open spot. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Lucas Herbert won the LIV Golf Virginia event by 4 shots over Sergio Garcia. Herbert finished at 24 under par, 72-hole total, with a final round 69. Sergio Garcia finished runner-up with a 70, 1 shot ahead of Bryson DeChambeau, 66. Herbert secured a US $4 million, a $5.4 million winner's check, and a spot at the US Open in New York next month. Herbert was part of the All-Australian Ripper GC team, which now has all 4 members, Smith, Leishman, Smiley, Herbert, with LIV victories. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1, ABC, states, Herbert was yet to win a competition on the LIV Tour after 3 years in the league. While Articles 2 and 3, ABC Guardian, confirm he won his maiden LIV title in the same event. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian.
Story 6 of 9. Jay Vine's crash at Giro d'Italia 2026 leaves him with injuries. UAE Team Emirates affected. Jay Vine's crash at Giro d'Italia 2026 leaves him with injuries. UAE Team Emirates affected. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Jay Vine suffered a fractured elbow and concussion in the Giro d'Italia Stage 2 crash on 2026-05-09, neither requiring surgery. The crash occurred on a slippery descent with 22 colours remaining in Stage 2, Burgos to Veliko Tarnovo, of the Giro d'Italia 2026. Mark Soler, UAE Team Emirates, lost his front wheel, triggering the crash that involved over 20 riders. Adam Yates, UAE Team Emirates, suffered heavy abrasions, a laceration to his left ear, and delayed concussive symptoms, missing Stage 3. The crash happened on the 15th anniversary of Wouter Wayland's fatal Giro crash in 2011. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the crash occurred with 22 kilometres remaining in a 221 kilometre stage, while Article 2 and Article 4 do not specify the total stage distance, but confirmed 22 kilometers remaining. Article 1 mentions Jay Vine was taken to hospital after the crash, while Article 2 and Article 4 clarify he was stretchered to hospital. Article 1 states the race was neutralised for around 4 kilo. But this detail is not repeated in other articles. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian.
Story 7 of 9. Teenagers trespass Scientology buildings as viral TikTok speedrun trend spreads globally. Teenagers trespass Scientology buildings as viral TikTok speedrun trend spreads globally. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Scientology speedrun trend began in late March 2026 with a TikTok video of teenagers trespassing the Hollywood Church of Scientology Information Center in Los Angeles, viewed over 90 million times before removal. The trend spread to Australia, with Sydney and Brisbane Scientology buildings targeted on May 11, 2026, involving around 100 teenagers in Sydney and arrests made in both cities. The trend also reached the UK, with a London Scientology centre targeted on May 2, 2026 by about 100 people, and a separate attempt in Edinburgh by around 30 teenagers. The Church of Scientology condemned the trend as trespass, harassment, and disruption of religious facilities, and stated it was reviewing all available remedies to protect personnel and property. Teenagers involved in the trend cited curiosity about Scientology's secrecy and the viral nature of the challenge's motivations, with some attempting to map the building's interiors. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states no arrests were made during the London speedrun on May 2, 2026, while News.com does not mention London, but reports arrests in Sydney and Brisbane on May 11, 2026. News.com specifies arrests in Sydney involved a 19-year-old woman and 17-year-old girl, but The Guardian does not mention any arrests in the UK beyond general police presence. The Guardian claims the trend began with a single TikToker named Swiley, while News.com attributes it to 2 collaborating teens without naming them. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au.
Story 8 of 9. Media mogul Antony Catalano avoids court appearance due to media scrutiny over assault allegations. Media mogul Antony Catalano avoids court appearance due to media scrutiny over assault allegations. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Antony Catalano, 59, was charged with assault, false imprisonment, and making threats to kill on March 13, 2026, over an incident involving his wife, Stephanie Catalano. Catalano appeared via video link from his lawyer's office, less than 100 metres from Melbourne Magistrates Court, instead of in person due to media scrutiny. Magistrate Narain Warder granted Catalano's request to avoid in-person attendance, citing potential harm to his mental health from media presence. Catalano was co-owner and executive chairman of Australian Community Media, ACM, which owns 65 titles including the Canberra Times and the Newcastle Herald. Catalano was placed on immediate leave of absence from ACM after the allegations surfaced in March 2026, but not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC mentioned Catalano was accused of swinging an iron at his wife's head, but only The Guardian explicitly states he swung an iron at her, without specifying the target, head versus body. The Guardian and ABC describe Catalano as co-owner and executive chairman of ACM, while news.com.au refers to him as former chairman, which may imply a difference in his current role status. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian and news.com.au.
Story 9 of 9. Ex-Liberal Charlotte Mortlock launches Something Better movement to challenge major parties. Ex-Liberal Charlotte Mortlock launches Something Better movement to challenge major parties. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Charlotte Mortlock left the Liberal Party in February 2026 after the party ousted its first female leader, Sosan Lay, less than a year into her term. Mortlock founded Hilmer's Network, a movement encouraging more women to join the Liberal Party before leaving it. Mortlock's Something Better movement has over 1,000 supporters signed up, with a goal of 1,500 members to register as a political party. Mortlock states she will not run for Parliament herself, but aims to work for the new party. Mortlock criticises the Liberal Party for failing to address systemic flaws and anti-establishment sentiment among voters. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states, Mortlock left the Liberal Party in February 2026, while Newscomb AU says she left less than 3 months before May 2026, which could imply a slight discrepancy in timing. ABC mentions Mortlock's departure was inevitable after Lay's ousting, while Newscomb AU frames it as a response to both Lay's ousting and the Near South Wales Liberals ditching gender quotas. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au.